Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, stock market mirage. That's right. You could be doing the salsa dance because it rises. But all of you who are not in the stock market, it's going up, up and away. But it's not Main Street because you went shopping. You checked your electric bill. What can you do? Well, solutions is the answer, and you got to look for solutions. Good luck is all I can say if you don't start planning ahead. And welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for being here. But please share the videos because you never know who's going to be out here looking for information. You never know people are looking for anything. They're just going through life, minding their own business, and you need to send them this information. A lot of people don't pay attention to the stock market because the stock market is basically reasons why people invest, not where they extract money unless they are in the market. Well, you guys know the numbers here. 93% of the stock market is owned by the top 10% of the wealthiest. So that leaves a small percentage for the normal folks, the OCs, ordinary citizens. So that should get you straight up to par on why you have to start thinking there has to be something to do. Do you realize? Let's go over some numbers. 42% of people, 42 million Americans are on SNAP. That is food assistance. Who gets SNAP? It's disabled, it's children, it's families that work that don't get paid a livable wage. 42 million. That's more than 10%. What is that? Around 13, 15% of Americans are just on that. All right. So when you start thinking about the people that's going to be hurt by this, SNAP program is food assistance that the GOP was going to cut. They did $186 million in their budget that hasn't been signed yet. This is what the Democrats, one of the reasons they don't want to sign it, because it's going to take away 186 million out of it, which means it's going to be cut to some people. So millions of people will be cut from it. So when you start looking at that number and then you don't take into account for the 1.6 million people per month that have been laid off this year. That's right, per month. Not all year, per month, ladies and gentlemen. Now you understand the cry for looking at the stock market, because you see the stock market going up and you're going, oh, everything is fine. Well, here in the SSN Nation, we don't do the BS. We go to the problem. Because if you don't know what the problem is, then how are you going to fix anything if you are down here in the bottom 20% of the wealthiest? You have to have a plan. The first plan, findhelp.org. Go there. Findhelp.org. Thank you, Matthew. Let's go. All right. That's the first thing you need to do. That's just simple. Put in your zip code. That'll show a lot of places that may have funds still remaining, nonprofits, because they receive funds from the federal and state agencies. And so therefore they can help people. Some of them charge a little fee, some don't. But it's in a whole bunch of cases that Americans need help. So when you have hundreds of thousands of federal workers laid off, they got to pay bills. 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So I don't really care what the stock market's doing. If you're not in the stock market, which a large percentage of the Americans aren't, then it's not relevant. What you should pay attention to is the things they don't want you to, like people working at jobs, Amazon, Walmart, big industry jobs. They don't have livable wages. And these are the companies that are telling people go down and get welfare, food stamps, food assistance if you can. We don't want to pay your health care. So now you have to go get ACA, Affordable Care Act, hopefully, because again, if you're already sick, they're going to have to insure you anyhow. If the ACA goes away, then we're back to a situation where they're going to go, oh, you were sick when you were 15 years old, so we're not going to cover you under this insurance program, even though you're paying insurance. You guys want to go back to that, I see. Well, guess who wants to cut the ACA? The stock market is a mirage. The healthcare industries are on the stock market. Universal Health is on the stock market. Blue Shield on the stock market. They make a lot of money because their premiums are high. If you don't have ACA subsidies, your premiums go to retail price. You don't get to pay $200 per month or $150 per month or free. You're going to have to pay $500, $800, $1,000 per month. It's going to be 2 to 4 times as much. So another reason why some sides in government are saying, I don't want this bill to pass because you're taking money from the subsidies. And if people don't have health care, people are going to die. Just like if they don't have food, people are going to die. So again, voting matters, but some people are voting against their best interest. And then they're trying to blame the wrong people. This isn't rocket science. If somebody's trying to take food off my plate and takes the food off my plate, then tells me it's my neighbor, I'm going to be like, have you lost your freaking mind right now? You took the food off my plate, not my neighbor, not the guy across the street. How are you going to blame the other guy when you're the one doing it? When you're the one that fires me, and then you're going to blame somebody else for getting me fired? Your company fired me. Nobody else did that crap. This is what we're dealing with out here. This cognitive dissonance, this brain freeze. I don't know what's going on. But all I know is when somebody says, Eric, we have a paycheck for you, or Eric, we have health care for you, and that person says, we have it, but we're taking it away, and then trying to blame somebody else, that is insane right now. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the problem comes in. You're going to have to save yourself. You're going to have to be part of the emerging millionaire club. How do we do that when 80% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck? Well, it's very simple. Most of the people are having a high number of debt. You're going to have credit cards. You're going to have all this money that is debt related, and you're going to owe 20, 30, 40% on it. You can never pay it back. So you just keep paying the minimum amount monthly, but eventually you may not have that minimum amount to pay. So you have to get your debt down and use a simple number. If you have 40%, it's more than that, but let's just say 60% out of every $100 is debt that you have to pay back. Plus add 20% on top annually. So you're going to have about a 1.5 percentage point add on, and you have to pay that, right? So what happens? You can't use any other money because usually 30% of it goes towards you living. So the only way you can join in to get passive income coming in, you have to reduce your debt. It's that simple. So reducing your debt would be high on the priority list, I would think. Look who's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Post-retirement travel is here. An investor doing the salsa dance for his weekly investments, his weekly dividends being received, amongst other things. But welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. And he brings his tagline, hello all, let's do this. That's what we're talking about. We have to do something. You have to do something. Reducing your debt is mandatory. The money that you're able to reduce your debt and not have to pay an IOU on, you can use to get money coming in your door. Since we have post-retirement travel here, he always had this saying from the get-go, pay just a little bit a cup of coffee. The money you use for a cup of coffee per day, per week, you could use that instead of the cup of coffee to make investments that give you a return. Because that is the only way that you're going to be able to do anything. You have to have assets. This stuff that's going on, why are the wealthy getting more wealthy is because they invest in assets that go up in value. One of the assets is the stock market. They pump millions, billions into it. The Federal Reserve also started buying to prop up the stock market. It's inflated artificially, but it keeps going because the people with the most money are able to keep making it go, buy more shares. And then the Fed say, we'll just print some money to buy more shares. If you're not in that game, ladies and gentlemen, then how are you going to catch up? You have to get in the game. There is no other way. You cannot work and not make any investments. That's not going to work for you in the long run, because that means all you're going to do is put your money where? In a bank where you get 3%. You're not even outpacing inflation. So again, these are some of the things you have to do. DIM Powell's another investors in the house, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. He's doing the salsa dance today because I know he loves that volatility for the YieldMax ETF. So again, welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. And he brings his tagline this evening. Good evening, all. So much free money. That's what I like to hear. Findhelp.org in case you just joined us and you have a zip code, put it in. Go see if there's some help there for you, American citizens, because just like the rich guys, they get help. Why don't you? Taxpayers still pay for you to get help, and apparently we pay for the rich to get richer. So why not help the 100 million people that are out here living paycheck to paycheck? Did you guys see the food banks on November 1st? I loved it. I love that. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly humanity sets in when people said, well, we can't get SNAP, where some of us are going to be cut from our food stamps or our snaps or our EBT cards not working, whatever they call it. The point is, the people came out in all states and offered food. This is what I'm talking about. Spite somebody trying to take it. All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I agree. Reduce your debt, especially credit cards. Exactly. Number one, keep one good credit card for emergencies only, but pay it off by the end of the month. That is a good thing. Exactly. You know what else you can do? Credit cards are diabolical. A lot of people hear things like, let's just say it's 10%, right? Which they aren't, but let's just say they're 10%. You hear 10% annually. What you don't hear is that they are actually charging you daily interest on your balance. So it's a running total. So if you go and charge something, let's just say $1,000, you go down and charge 500. All of a sudden, the next day, they're charging the daily interest fee on 1,500. It's not monthly. So the thing is, you can also do that. And one other thing you can do. If you have money, but you're just using the card, then you should charge your card and then just pay it immediately. Because if you let that thing linger, you're going to get charged interest on it. If you pay early before your next statement comes out, then you would accumulate no interest on that charge you just did. So how can you reduce it? You can just pay it every time. If you go buy something for $50, just go and pay $55 immediately. So you do two things. You do one is you paid immediately. Second thing is you've actually might have even hit your monthly payment. But the point is you don't really care about that. Every time you use your card, you should be trying to pay it off immediately. As like post-retirement says, pay it off by the end of the month is the ideal scenario. But a lot of people can't do that. That's why we're at all-time record highs here in America for credit card debt and rising. People are using their credit cards because they are living paycheck to paycheck. And when they go to the grocery store or on emergencies, they have to use their card. The savings accounts are dwindling, if at all. So we're talking about 200 million people live paycheck to paycheck. Do you understand how significant this is? The empire's going down. We talked about this before. All right. Nobody's coming to save you, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to save yourself. You're going to have to pull your pants up. The bootstraps, as they say. You're going to have to pull something up because you're not going to be saved. And unfortunately, there's a situation where you could have a collapse. So if you think that you have a house and you say, oh, well, my house, I have equity of 300 grand or 500 grand or 200 grand. I'll be fine. I can always get a loan. What if there's not, what if that's gone? What if your value's gone? Home prices collapse. What if that happens? If the stock market collapses, that's a possibility too. If those two things happen, you're in the stock market and the Bitcoin market or Ethereum market or crypto market and the housing market, those things could go down. Then where are you going to get the extra streams of revenue? You have to have something else going on. Stock market is not it. It's a mirage, ladies and gentlemen. Unless you're in it, it's real. Everybody else standing there looking at the boards, looking like, oh, all-time record high again. That's not doing you any good because all-time record highs, you know what that means? Let me explain economics. That means they are making profits usually. And it precedes the profits that they made previously. In other words, prices have to go up in order for revenue numbers to go up. Does that not make sense? Right? If they say, oh, we have all-time record profits, doesn't that mean consumers had to pay more? Duh. Come on. Don't you understand? It's a mirage. So you have to be in the stock game. By the way, speaking of that, being in the stock game, how could I forget? I didn't put the findhelp.org on here. Hold on a second. I got to put this in the chat room. We have this scenario now where I have to do this because I know a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck and we only have 5 months. 1 year, 3 months, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you have. All right. And there's mental health to be of consequences. So let's talk about these derivatives as well. A lot of people don't understand that the stock market is also based on other factors that they don't talk about. Derivatives. You know, some people use the stock market and then they have assets under management, so to speak, just like you can have assets under management. And they're saying, let me borrow against my assets under management. Now, it's plain and simple. It's another loan in reality. Now, it's backed by stock. If all of a sudden the stock goes down and their loan doesn't equate to it, then the company has to pay. But what if the company doesn't pay? Or a person? Okay, some people would say, well, it's collateralized. Fine. But what if the person uses that money to go get another down payment on something else and gets a loan? And now can't pay that loan. Do you see how there could be a problem down the line that you don't even know about? This is why it matters that you figure out how you can get liquid, passive income. Even if you have to earn income, you have to work for it. Either way, you're going to need multiple streams of income, ladies and gentlemen. So I put the findhelp.org in there. The second order is that I keep talking about is reducing your debt. So again, if you're new here, let me know what you think, because we have a way to do that without filing bankruptcy, without doing debt collection, without getting your debt collectors calling you up, and just simply email this woman right here. She's familiar. All right, I'll get a picture, because we're going to see familiar in a few weeks. Tracy.sharpe with an E at the end at moneyladder.com. It's very simple. Did anybody see the Larimar City videos? Let me know what you guys thought. I dropped part 1 and part 2 today. Just let it roll. All right. So people would be like, what's he on right now about this? Well, I'm on 2022, 2023, what was said. I'm not on this new thing they're talking about in 2025. All right. Now, the mirage is real. What are you going to do about it? You're going to go to buy, sell, biz, B-I-Z, buy, B-U-Y, sell, SELL.com. There's a lot of people trying to off their businesses. There's a few businesses on there people are trying to off. They're older now. The people are older. It's simple, right? Once you are doing something for 20, 30 years up, you wake up and you're like 65, 75 years old. And you're like, oh my God, I got to still go in here and operate this business. So what they will say is, they'll say, hey, why don't you I'll let you make payments to me. This is how much it earns every month. Here's the profit. I'll take this portion out of the profit. You run the business, and we'll sign an agreement where I'm selling it over to you after you pay me X, Y, and Z numbers. That is a thing. It happens, especially in times like this, when it's hard for businesses, because people need livable wages. So if they don't get livable wages, then they start Mickey Mousing around with showing up for work, which hurts businesses when employees don't show up. You can't rely on them. So again, these are the type of things that you're going to have to deal with. You have to forgive me a little bit. My throat hurts a little this evening, and I don't know why, which is concerning. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't screaming. But you do know I've been going to a hospital, and that bugs me, because that's the problem. Going to a hospital, you usually get sick. And seeing how I go like 6 or sometimes 7 out of 7 days, 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 7, it's bound to happen over some months, right? Because you never know, things you touch, you forget to clean your hands, or so hopefully it's nothing serious, but we'll see. All right. Now, there's something I talked about on Friday, and it had to do with this guy. Let me see. Martin Scarelli. I'm gonna play some excerpts, because I when we have people, Americans, having a hard time like now, right? And then you have people doing things like this. So I want to show you something. I'm not even going to comment about this, because I said I can't stand.
Controversial drug entrepreneur who defended his decision to raise the price of a life-saving medication by 5,000% was questioned today during a hearing in Washington, D.C.
Members of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee became frustrated with Martin Shkreli as he sat with his hands clasped and smirked. A chief commercial officer defended the price increase of the drug, and she said that much of that money made went toward research and development. Members of Congress felt otherwise.
These companies did not invest funds to research or develop these drugs. They bought them, jacked up the prices, took as much money as they could out of the pockets of patients, hospitals, and others, and put those funds into their own coffers. I've called this money blood money.
Shkreli's attorney said the 32-year-old meant no disrespect to the committee with the smirk.
Excellence takes drive, work, perseverance. Tiger Woods brings it to the course. Insperity brings it to your business.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just had to play that because there was a talk of. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just had to play. Check this out. I had to go look to the video because I didn't have any phones in my ear. So again, I just I'm gonna do it a different way. I guess I should have stayed on screen. I was trying to do this a different way, so we will see in a second. All right. Well, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be able to do this. I don't know how to turn this off either. So, yeah, we have a landline. Can you believe that? You'll hear the ring. So, unfortunately, I don't remember how to turn these things off, quite frankly. So, it's just gonna have to ring about 6 times. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. All right. Um, Let me see if I have this right. Yeah, let's go here. Let's see. Did this come up? There we go. One goes.
Yeah. He sparked by life-saving drug by tracking him down.
Screens off. Oh my goodness. All kind of things happen when I was showing that. All right, enough. Here we go. What do you think about those agencies that help you with your debt? Okay, there we go. I love them. How do they deal with the creditors? That's just it. So just like the rich guys, when they go in and they go when they file bankruptcy or they threaten, I can't pay, then their creditors say, well, hold on. If he defaults, that means we get nothing. So maybe we'll take off some of the interest, give incentive. They make negotiations with these corporations, basically. So that way you pay less. You're still going to have a payment, but now it's been reduced. That's the idea. So you're done in 1 year to 2 years. And after you're done, you're in good standing. No debt collection, no bankruptcy needed, but you're back in good standing. And it only takes that amount of time versus perennially staying with debt collections, trying to get it removed, trying to get things adjusted, paying all this money, and then eventually not, getting back to where you need. You can just get back to where you need in 1 year to 2 years. Very simple. That's another option for people to get out of the debt hole. Exactly. That's exactly why I've been mentioning this, because we have a large percentage of people rely on credit cards, and credit cards are eating you up at 20 to 30, 35%. That just depends. I mean, some of us have 0% interest, but that means you have good credit, right? 0% interest for 24 months, 0% interest for 21 months, 0% interest for 18 months. That helps out greatly. Then you just get another card. So therefore, you're paying the annual dues, $99, whatever. But the point is, at least you're not paying 25 to 35% interest, where they tell you here's a minimum amount and $1,000, and they'll say send us 50. But meanwhile, they're charging you $200 a year plus on top of that. So you can easily see half or three-fourths of your payments going towards interest for the year. If you only pay 500 and you have a 200, then they charge you $100 fee a year. So annual fee. So they're making out like bandits as long as you keep paying minimum. They're like, this dude will never pay this off because he owes us $100 a year. He's only going to be paying $300 a year. It's going to take him 3 years to pay this off. Meanwhile, we and that's if he didn't even charge anything else. So they're winning because everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. So they're keeping a balance on there. So actually the effective rate is above $200 at 20%. It's a higher rate because you're getting interest charged on your previous balance or your existing balance at a daily rate of whatever it is, 0.01 or 1%. So you just got to keep those kind of things in mind. All right. Yes, but they still kill your credit, correct? That should be the last resort. No, that's the point. It doesn't kill your credit. That's the whole point. Just like the rich guys, it doesn't kill their credit because they renegotiated their debt. So then when they pay their debt off, they're in good standing, correct? It's renegotiated. That's what they do. That's why at the end, when they fulfill their obligation, they got good standing, green lit credit greatly. So that's why it makes sense versus having debt collectors on your report. That's not going to be erased, or you can erase them and then they come back, or whatever the case may be. Because now, remember, they look back 24 months, right? So that's why it's good if you have a good rating where they're going to go, oh, paid under our terms, it's paid, it shows on your credit report, paid. That's the idea. That's why that works so great. This isn't bankruptcy. If you file bankruptcy now, that's a whole nother ball game. That is on your record permanently showing you didn't pay. And people know you can do it depending on most in another 7 years, but they also know that you may not pay your bills, right? So it's better than bankruptcy, and you're going to be in good standing and your credit pops back up instead of perennially staying in debt and having almost what most people have, near full capacities on their credit. So you have a high usage rate, which is not good. So that automatically keeps your score down. But now that's why we call tracy.sharpe at moneyladder.com. That's why. Exactly. It doesn't kill. That's the point. You don't go to debt collectors. In other words, you didn't, you defaulted, so you now have a debt collection on your report, which now means you're screwed. There's no way to come back from that, right? I mean, of course, you're going to be able to, because let's just face facts. Here in America, we run on credit. Without credit, businesses are gone. So there's always going to be a way that a person with a 400 credit score can still get some. That's how this works because we have so many people that are living paycheck to paycheck that cannot get credit because they don't make enough money and their credit is not good. So they know it's going to be high risk, but in order for businesses to stay in business, they have to be able to get paid. Credit cards pay. That's just face facts, right? You charge your card, the credit card pays, whether the person pays them back or not, it's a whole nother story. That's part of the derivative program, right? That's how empires fall. So we're going to find out how this all works. Do you think after credit card is paid off, should you close the card if it's too much interest? No, do not close your card. If you have credit cards and you paid them off, you should keep them because every month it shows a report showing it's paid on time. And you have dates. So I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you have a 5-year-old card. On your credit report, it is based on the amount of time you've had the card. Okay? It's not considered new, it's seasoned. So as soon as you close that card, the 5-year goes away. So if you got another card that's 1.5, 2 years old, that one starts taking precedence and you don't have a highest. In fact, your score would go down, just so you know. I would always leave them open. That's why people do leave them open. If you're concerned about your credit scores, you should not close them, especially the ones that have that 5, 10, 12 years. Your credit score will go down if you close. All right. So we should get lucky if a president was going to say, which our president right now said, oh, forget the credit bureaus. I'm like, okay, if you want to do that, that would make sense, right? That would mean anybody can get credit, right? But do you really think people are going to go for that who's giving out loans? Yeah, anybody come get a car thing. Any breathing person, hey, you want to buy a house? You know that's not going to go well in the short term because in 2 to 3, 4 years you're going to be defaulting. Right? And it's crazy. But hey, I wouldn't. Who's going to be mad about that? Right? Who's going to be mad about that, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not, for sure. I'm not going to be mad about it at all. If they said nobody should have credit, just like we're outside of the United States. Basically, that was just a barrier, anyhow. See, America's based on barriers. Again, people don't understand because they don't look at it that way. I look at it that way. They're barriers. So why would you come up with a credit system? Remember, credit cards didn't exist until what, 1950, with the first Diners Club card or something. So what did they do before that? Right. Based on you. And based on you, and since I'm a minority, black guy, you can't get credit. Irish dude, you can't get credit. Italian dude, you can't get credit. You're the new immigrant. None of y'all can get credit. But the new white dudes, we can give each other credit. The reason why we're going to give each other credit because we got the power. So we're going to get credit. We'll build some houses. They'll have to borrow from us and give us interest. We'll give them loans. But we ain't giving you ownership of nothing if we can avoid it. Until they said, okay, I tell you what, you can have something. Okay. But women and minorities, sorry. People of color, sorry. You can't live over there. You can't live over there. You can't live over there. So that is why the civil rights was major. So in the 1960s, when the civil rights laws came out, that kind of helped things a little bit. So more people were able to be involved in the economic system, which is why America kept rising like this. You put more people into the system where you can buy homes. Women couldn't even get credit cards until 1974. That's right. You heard women could not get credit cards until 1974. So now they said you can have credit cards, of course, because you got to feed the system. The more people you put into the economic system, the better. But now you're trying to go backwards and restrict people from being able to do something. It's going to be bad news, ladies and gentlemen. So once you understand, no matter what happens, the stock market mirage It can only be a mirage as long as it keeps going up. And the people that are sitting there looking at the sign upward goes, oh, everything's going great. Look at the stock market, but I'm not invested in it. So everything must be great around here, right? Wrong. That's not how it works. All right. Just keep that in mind. You either have to be in or you have to be in something that gives you money back for not working for it. The stock market is one, and it's been one for the ages, for the last 100 years. It's been one for the ages. Good, bad, and indifferent, but it keeps going up because they make sure it goes up. So it's pretty much a safe bet as long as we have the world currency. The United States has world currency, the stock market will continue to go up because we manipulate it. We take out the losers and put in the winner company. So that's how you make sure it keeps going up. So anybody that's invested in that market means you're going to be good over the long term. So sometimes it takes 20, 30 years. It's just that right now we're in a hyper inflationary environment. So the stock market will go up faster and quicker. So the fact that you're not in means you're going to lose. We were talking about this 6 months ago when NVIDIA dropped to $90. We sat right there and we told people, hey, you need to get in because the government is backing NVIDIA. For one, NVIDIA said that for 3 years, they're going to buy back their own shares of stock. For two, three, banks and analysts and financial institutions that study the market said be available is going to be a $200 stock by the end of this year. Goldman Sachs said, I think they said 250 by the end of the year. Other people said anywhere from 200 to 250. And can you believe right now somebody's saying NVIDIA stocks 300, not by the end of the year, but by next year. So you knew at that time it was going to double. You knew once it got to 160, 150, and it dropped to 130. I said the same thing then. You know, the analysts all said it's going to be over 200 this year. And lo and behold, it's over 200, ladies and gentlemen. And even at $150, 10% is $15 more. 20% is $30 more. 30% is $45 more. Who wouldn't have liked 35% in less than a year? You see what I'm saying? You get it now? You can't sit on the sidelines and watch the mirage go by if you're not in it. You got to be in it to win it. AMD also went by. Same thing, 40, 50% in less than a few months. I'm just saying, all you have to do is pay attention to what the rich guys are doing and then you play, so to speak. All right, let's go. Passive was the name of the game. Stay in the market. Exactly. I should have seen his message first. Exactly. That's exactly where you have to go. There's going to come a time when the mirage, the market goes, drops significantly. And by the way, as long as America has the world currency, they're going to be fine because they can always pump it back up. They can give corporations money, loans. Remember that federal funds rate at three is probably down to 3.75% or 3.5. I don't know exactly after they cut the rate because who knows what their backdoor deals are. But all I know is if somebody came to me and said, hey, Eric, I'm going to give you 3.75% and I'll give you $20 million and you can pay interest only and pay us back in 15 years. I mean, what company would turn that down? I don't understand. You don't get to have that luxury, do you, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody going to give you a 3.75% interest only note for 15 years and allow you to renegotiate it after year 11 or 12 to give a longer term, not even having to pay it back? What do you think happens when it drops down to 3, if it goes to 3.5 or 3.25? You get to back in and renegotiate, and do you understand you would have a huge advantage over everybody, right? So again, ladies and gentlemen, you have to start thinking like the wealthy. You can't sit back and think like an employee anymore, because employees don't have health care coverage for the most part anymore. You have to go get it yourself in the open markets. Hell, we even had veterans out here who have to fight for their health care when it should have been long standing that they receive health care benefits carte blanche. But they still have to fight for theirs. It's unreal. There's people that fought in wars that have to say, I was in the war, and there's the VA goes, oh, no, we don't believe you. It happened with my dad. They go, oh, we don't have proof you were in Vietnam. What happened? Well, okay. It's 60, 70 years later. They said, oh no, we don't have proof. Okay, let me go home. Let me get you some proof. So here's my photo when I got promoted over in Vietnam. Here's my photo when I'm with so and so getting promotion. What do you mean? Oh, I'm sorry, we can't look at those pictures. We need your paperwork from 50 years ago. Unbelievable what they do to citizens of America. Notice I said citizens because it's not just because my dad was black. They're doing it to all colors, race, creed, colors. It doesn't matter. People had Agent Orange, which is Roundup, by the way. That's why your weeds die and you die from cancer. Agent Orange veterans couldn't even get health care for that. Even right now, up until Jon Stewart last year or this year goes to and shames the GOP House control to actually vote to help these veterans from frickin' 50, 60 years ago that have problems from Agent Orange. Come on. So you think somebody's out here looking for you? You better figure out who it is quickly. All right, let's go. Did you know Netflix is splitting? I believe yes. We did talk about this. I think was it 10-1 or 1-10? Because I'm confused. Why are they splitting their shares? I guess they're kind of high, right? But it's weird. If you buy 10 shares by 14th November, they will become 100 shares. Okay, so it is for every one, it's 1-10. I am thinking about dropping the hammer and go for it. I can sell calls after. I agree with this 120%. You know why? It's because there's been this funky, somewhat, hey, stay away from Netflix by one side of the fence. Others are like, whatever. I'm sitting there like, ladies and gentlemen, they're a chosen one. Who's going to compete with Netflix? It's streaming service. Netflix has their own studio now. They have other people that need to put their apps on their platform. And then they get to charge people monthly or annually. So they have the perfect playbook. Shall I give you stories? We have stories. In case a lot of people don't know history, in the 1980s and 90s, what you guys don't know is, I wish I had something around here, CDs, floppy drive. This is what Microsoft, Apple, all the software companies, they sold CDs with codes on them. After I buy the CD, it has a code. I put it on my computer. I enter the code. It unlocks the software. But now I can take that and put it on somebody else's computer, unlock the software. Okay? So now it was shared. So now they had a problem because once they sold X amount of them, now people were sharing it. This is in the late 80s and the 90s. So then they came up with one-time use. They were able to figure out, oh, how can we restrict this so it's a one-time use code? Well, it's fine. They came up with it. one-time use code restriction. So now I can load it up, whatever, it blocks it from if I gave it to somebody else, it blocks it, right? But contraire, hackers, I would just simply hack it. And now the code is wiped. I have a copy. And now the code works for everybody else. So they still weren't satisfied. They were like, what the hell, man? We can't do nothing about this as long as we're giving out these CDs. So you know what happened? They came up with the most brilliant plan, the diabolical plan ever. After the dot-com bust in the early 2000s, they started figuring out, wait a minute, we can just have people download the software. They have to come back to us for any updates, pay another fee, but now there is no individual CD. So now we have now optimized our market so people can't share. But at first, obviously, people would share their account. Then they said, oh, no, no, no. You can only go to one or two people. Similar to what Microsoft does with their 365, where they charge you and you can have an individual account and family account now, right? Same thing. So, anyhow, back to Netflix. This model is never going away. They control the keys. So, as long, and who else is going to compete with them? That's the point. Who's going to be able to get customer acquisition? Let's go look up something right now because a lot of people, I just laughed when they said Netflix is going down. I was like, have you lost your mind right now? Let's find out something because I like that idea. In fact, I'm a buyer, just so you know. I am getting some Netflix. I don't right now own Netflix, but I am because I'm going to do the 10 to 1. And unfortunately, the price is going to rise up. In fact, let's go see what, let me just look this up real quick. NFLX, right? Let's go see. It's, 1,000. There it is. It's 1,000. So it's going to drop and it's down 18% today. It's 1,000. It's $1,100. How did it drop 18%? Dang, that's a okay. So in two, three, no, just 11 days from now. So it's going to go down to about $110 per share. Okay. Now, you guys know, I'm just going to say again, I have this thing about, I probably will, in fact, I won't be a buyer before. What I like to do is, I always like to buy 72 hours after the split. So it's going to split, let's call it $110. It'll rally to my prediction. I'll just give you a prediction. It'll rally for the first day up to 115, 120. People are gun ho. Then the next day, stay about the same. Then the third day, it might drop to like 100, 108, 105. I usually wait. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to wait. I'm not going to be a buyer anytime soon. I'm going to wait for the split, do its thing, and then go 72 hours. I wait and then determine what I'm going to do 72 hours after the split. 52-week high, 1341. 52-week low, 749. Okay, so it is 10 for 1. All right. So that means I think somebody put 1 for 10, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not, if that's not good. But 10 for every one you own, I like that for sure. So again, I'm just going to wait, spend the same, and I think their stock is going to go up. They're doing licensing now too, which stocks are okay. I'm still surprised Netflix hasn't made any other moves, quite frankly. So we'll just see. We will see how it all goes. All right, let's go. Oh wow! Hopefully this wasn't playing in the background. Geesh. I'm hoping it wasn't because apparently I have some I had some background noise on. I hope it wasn't playing. All right. I like that though. I'll be right there with you. After, your dad can request VA to look at his medical records, right? He could potentially get a disability compensation. That's exactly what the situation was for the disability compensation. And they said they didn't have any medical. He didn't have, first of all, it wasn't for that. It was for the, I shouldn't have said the VA. It wasn't for the VA. Because you hit it right on the head. It was for the disability compensation. I'm sorry, it wasn't for the VA. It was for the disability compensation. That's what it was. There was some about he had to be he didn't have his full benefits for the compensation, so he got more money, disability compensation. That's exactly it. Thank you for clarifying. Because I never really looked at it. I just half hear and listen, but that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. He was like, because there was something about being in that theater, and they were saying he wasn't, and therefore he would have been able to get disability compensation and never would give it to him until one day something came up and he was able to get some paperwork that they approved, and now he has it. So they added some more money to his retirement, or I don't actually know what to deem it because I've never even seen it, but so he has 100% now disability compensation. Before he didn't. But thanks. That is the wording. That is it. The compensation part. They're gonna run up Netflix before they split it at 1,300 PRT. You think so? I don't. I don't. I don't see how that happens. Well, okay. Let's say it does. I'm still happy with it. Like I said, 10-1 split. I'm always gonna wait 72 hours after it splits before making decision on entry points. I'll never forget one of the last ones was Roblox. It split or came out. I can't really. And I said, I'm waiting 72 hours. People bought in at like 65 and it went down to 50 something after the 2 or 3 days of hype. So you're able to pick it up. Then it went back up to 60 something, 70 something. So for me, 10 to 15% in a matter of less than 30 days, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to take the profits and run. So it's like that 10-1. Thank you, DIM pals. Brian P. Welcome to the SSN Nation Money Making Monday live stream. Another investor is here, goes by the name of Mr. Dividend, has arrived. And by the way, he has a tagline. Hey, Eric, I still have a sealed AOL disk for the internet. Hey, you know what? It's probably valuable too. People are collecting AOL stuff. Can you believe this? For everything, there's a collector for everything. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know what else? I was talking about that compact laptop computer, right? I was like, when I saw it online, people are actually selling it. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. I think I still have it. I think I still have it. So that means I got to sell it. It's a collectible now. Oh my. Brian P says, happy day, Eric, with his official tagline. I hope all is well with you and your family. Yes, it is. Thank you. Happy day, SSN family. Smash that like button. Whoa, that's like, it's free, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that like button, free for all. Brian P, I got the notification and saw the videos. Thank you so much. That's right. I dropped 2 videos. In case you missed it, Larimar lovers, check out what they're doing in 2025. I deemed it 2023 versus 2025. And by the way, Jamie Gruber, who does a great job of, I call it promoting DR, he has now talked to the Larimar guys, but see, he's Johnny come lately. They're telling him small differences from what they were saying 3 years ago in 2022. So now it's 2025 and there's just a subtle differences. The renderings are different. So again, I had to make video. Oh, part 3 and part 4 is coming out too. Yeah, I know his video is like 30 some minutes. And I use probably 30, no, I probably use 20 minutes of it. But because I talk and put in our stuff, now it's like over. Let me see. The first video was 33. This one was 20. It's an hour of video for basically 10 minutes to 15 minutes of his stuff. If that, I don't even think I use that much. But I got more. Video 3 and 4 will be dropped tomorrow evening. If anybody's seen them, let me know what you think. So far, let me know what you think. We are making money in here, says Mr. Dividend. Exactly right. Post-retirement travel, Mr. Worldwide too. He says that Netflix is one of those stocks worth a cup of coffee every day. By doing that, my average cost is way down, already up 25% total return so far. Exactly. Exactly. I like Netflix and I didn't get in on it, but it still has a way to, it's an upside. The way I look at Netflix and companies like all of them, Microsoft, the Apples, even the Tesla, all these guys have a financial, Nvidia, AMD, all these guys have a financial amount of money that they have out of thin air that they can always turn on the faucet and extract based on their stock price alone. So these guys have a huge advantage because they can go somewhere and look around the playing board and find a company that could potentially be kicking their ass. And then they go to that company and say, well, nice, you're not there yet. We would like to implement you into our services. We'll just give you $25 billion. Now, a person who's starting up a company, who's looking for investors and looking for rounds and all this and trying to get out there, and somebody comes and says, oh, here's $30 billion. Why don't you just come up under our umbrella? Look at all this stuff we have to offer you, and we'll let you be CEO, and we'll let you have a few of your people you want to hire with you, and can let you continue to do your stuff, but you're up under our stuff now. And most of the time, people say, hell yes. Like CoreWeave, when NVIDIA put money into them, even though they may not be under their umbrella, but they still said, here's some billions of dollars. Same thing. So just keep that in mind. That's where we're at now. So they're almost too big to where they can't fail because they can always buy the latest technologies. So they always stay ahead. And it's going to be very hard for another company to do this because they have their own studio. Now, that was a major, great deal, buying a studio. And so after you do that, there's only so many studios you can buy. And as a startup or any new entry into the market, you're going to need billions of dollars. And you're going to need billions of dollars in reserves because it costs money to produce everything. So you can't come out the box and produce 5 shows, 5 movies. You got to come out the box if you're a competitor and have hundreds. Well, not hundreds, but at least 50 to 75 movies in the can and some special shows that's only on your network, only on your platform. So now that limits who can do that. Only your competitors would be able to do that, and they already exist. So there's nobody else probably coming in that market space. That's why it's a good investment, in my opinion. They're not going anywhere. Are you not entertained? Just remember the Roman Empire, when things were crumbling, there's a reason they did entertainment when people were starving. Because entertainment is the key. That's why Netflix, places like that, with the apps, with their own movie, with their own TV productions, they're not going anywhere. They're just going to get more and more powerful as different forms of entertainment become popular. They get to grab it, put it on there. So it's not going anywhere. I wish I would have got in from year 3, year 4, year 5. But I did not. We can't win them all, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that. All right. I'm not going to be on here too long. I've already been on here an hour. Some of you may have seen the video that I had with Martin Shkreli. I just played one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the others to play up because there was a talk about him on Friday. And I said, anybody, I'm not down. Friendships are broken for this type of stuff. I'm not down if somebody says, I control a pharmacy company and there's a drug that costs $13.50 a pill and it helps cancer patients, AIDS patients, anybody that has an immune disorder, that's what they need. Can you imagine your immune system not working? Do you know how sick you would be? most of the time. And then this helps your immune system so you're not sick. And then somebody says instead of $13.50, that's going to be $750 per pill. A month supply used to be around $400, is now around $22,000, which obviously nobody can afford. That means people are dying. I'm like, you can't talk to me after this because I just want to punch you. I want to do more than that because I don't, that's not cool to me. So I'm just like, are you serious? And the guy's a multimillionaire to boot already. So to laugh about it and act like it's no big deal because other people, other pharmaceutical companies raise their prices, not 5,000%, they don't. 100%, 50%, 20%, okay. Generic versus the real deal, okay. But 5,000% and you're killing people because they can't get it, that's pretty weak to me. So I can't be part of your gang. I'm like, you're not on that list. You're on the list of you're an enemy of the people for life. I don't care how much money you have. I don't play with people like this because if they don't care about killing those people, they ain't going to care about your sorry ass or my sorry ass. So just think about that. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Is there anything else? So far, nobody has said that they saw the Larimar City video. Anybody see it? I just dropped them out of the sky earlier today. There's two of them, part one, part two. I just wanted to get a little feedback. I didn't check the comments section. I'm pretty sure somebody gave me some feedback in the comments sections. I have nothing against Mr. Jamie Gruber, like I said, so that's all good. He might have something against me after I made the video, but I didn't really dog him about anything. He's just getting the information from Daniel Malky and Larimar. He doesn't know anything that happened in the past. He only knows what he knows right now. So no big deal, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to know what you guys think. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, my throat's hurting a little more than usual tonight. I hope it's just, maybe it's because I got too hot of tea the other day or something. I'm hoping it's something minor because I didn't bring any pills with me. Because when you go to the DR, ladies and gentlemen, or any other country, most other countries, you can go to the pharmacy and get your antibiotics without a prescription. And 1,000 milligram strength or higher without a prescription. So you stock up. Because in America, you know what's going to happen if you need prescription strength. You got to have a doctor's appointment so they can write you a prescription. But first, we got to test you out and make sure whatever is wrong with you is the right prescription. I need that copay or I need that pay. And that's the deal. So why not just get it when you're outside the United States, ladies and gentlemen? Make it easy for yourself. All right. Get all of them. The real deal. All right. It's very simple. Now, let's go. Eric, this government shutdown is already affecting travel. Thus our rental income. Nobody wins here. I know, man. I know. This is what I was talking about on Friday. And by the way, thank you so much, Post Retirement Travel, for also being a member of the channel. I forgot we are monetized once again. So you guys might have noticed there's some extra, some ads playing. But this is exactly right. This is what is the problem. People are sitting here saying, I had to post something to Dave personally. And I said, you know what? I said, some of our neighbors actually voted for this. That's the thing that it just maddens me because all of this was preventable because we knew what was going to happen. They even wrote a book about it, Project 2025. And people still said, I'm rocking with these guys. They don't care. There is no discussion. They don't care if you're sick, you're poor, you don't have money, you don't have health care. They don't care if you have a job. They don't care. When are you guys going to get this? They make money from your tax dollars. They don't care who's hurting out here. You're shutting down industries. Again, this shutdown will affect everybody. Everybody. TSA workers are working without a paycheck. Air traffic controllers without a paycheck. Can you imagine working without a paycheck? And they're on 8 out of 10 of them are living paycheck to paycheck, and they now can't pay their bills, but they're supposed to show up and worry about thousands and millions of other people. I don't know about you, but that seems like an awful stressful situation to be in. Awful stressful. And like you said, the government shut down, people don't have money, so now they're canceling their vacations because they don't know when they're going to have money again. Not everybody, but a percentage are. I'm sitting here right now dealing with the F1 race in Vegas. People are canceling. Can you believe that they had to make reservations 8, 9 months ago? But people are canceling. It is remarkable what's happening. Remarkable. And the travel, again, this was all, we know what's going to happen. The transportation, and now because of this, you have a transportation issue. Trucking, less shipments, which means Amazon, UPS, USPS. People are going to be missing all kinds of money in transportation. Then you wipe out transportation. Then somebody says, well, then what happens after transportation? Product can't get from A to B. You have a reduction in transportation companies, which now means those that are left are going to charge more. And then out of those people, they're not going to get customers because the customers can't pay more. So then there's a trickle down where it only leaves a few. But remember, all those transportation companies have employees who now aren't getting paychecks, may not be getting their health care either. Now what? See how this goes? This just goes bad. It keeps going bad. Okay. Stock market is not Main Street, ladies and gentlemen. It's a mirage. If you're in the stock market, all you're doing is making sure that you have assets. Paper assets, by the way, which are fragile. So you need other assets. So when we talk real estate, we have short-term rentals, we have long-term rentals. But when people don't have money to pay their rent because they work for the federal government, or they're one of these transportation companies that went out of business, or you work for the farm and that farm's going out of business, or whatever else is going out of business, now all of a sudden we're affected because people are saying, hey, I didn't get paid. I got laid off. I can't give you the rent. Well, now, I got to evict the person? Okay, I'm going to waste money, time. They get to stay there 2 months. Fine. If I have to evict a person, but now what about getting new person to rent from me? Now it's kind of, who knows what's going to happen with these new people? Sure, they got a nice job right now. Everything's looking rocking and rolling, but that doesn't mean that this is going to keep going. They might be one of the people that get laid off by an ancillary company. That had to be like our transportation company. We dealt with them. They're no longer on our books anymore. So now we have to downsize. I mean, it's a domino effect. And so again, he's exactly right. This is how it goes. When you get time, check out your emails. Hey, it's going to be on Wednesday, man. We'll talk on Wednesday. This is very interesting. This says that the Motley Fool, it says Netflix popped, but I showed today it dropped 18.77%. It can only pop so much because I don't really understand. I don't. again, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter to me. There's no reason for me to hit early entry. I'm just going to wait, just like we waited on what was the other 10-1? Oh, it was uh Tesla. It was Tesla. They did a 10-1, remember? Down to 120, what was it, 125 or something like that. Sure enough, same thing. 3-4 days later, it was down to 117, and then eventually it went down to 110, 107, 105. And I'm sitting there, is it really going to hit 99? It didn't hit 99 at the time. And then the rest is history, and I bolted after I went. I can't remember the number. But again, just like Gino Scimmiente used to say, 25, 30, 40%. Well, Gino Scimmiente said 20 to 25% was good enough for him. I was like, well, I'm a little bit, 30, 40% is good enough for me. So it did a 30 or 40% move. So I hit the eject button because I don't really like supporting Elon Musk, Mr. Apartheid. So that's just me. All right. So I had to hit the eject button. All right. So we know what's going to happen next. I'm going to stay here another 5 minutes and then I'm going to let everybody go. And I still haven't heard anybody say anything about the Larimar video. Did anybody see the Larimar video that's watching tonight? Let me know what you guys thought. Okay. Oh, here. I'm about to do some emails. And I know these aren't going to be good because we've been having food recalls like every day. That is not good, ladies and gentlemen, because boys and girls, they grow up ill if they don't get the right nutrients. It starts every time you're put in your body bad nutrients. Something bad's going to happen if you keep doing it over time. All right. Let's see. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the troopers, the police in Tennessee, they are told to actively go out and try to get DUIs on people on purpose. They're treating everybody like a black person. I'm just saying. I got to be honest. A lot of people don't understand what people of color live with. The setups, the BS by policing. Now they're doing it to everybody in Tennessee. They're rolling up on people, trying to give them DUIs. And by the way, just so everybody understands something about DUIs, did you guys know that police, without having a breathalyzer, can say you were doing a DUI and take you to court? And the DA will take you to court? Yeah, I know. Our justice system is off the charts. People don't realize what goes on because it doesn't affect a certain sector of society. So they are like, oh, no, the person has a DUI. The police said so. They did a breathalyzer test, right? What do you mean they didn't do a breathalyzer test? They don't have to. Did you guys know this? I mean, it's crazy what our legal system is. They could easily, you could say, I don't even want you to take a breath. I don't want to do it. In a lot of states, not doing a breathalyzer test means that you're saying, in essence, that you are under the influence. And when you go to court to try and fight it, they'll say, well, since you didn't take it, then you can't prove it. And so therefore, we think you did a DUI. So jury, aren't you going to do something? Trust me. So this is on there. You guys can easily Google. Oh, there's a video. Oh my. Okay. I didn't know there was a video. Wow. Okay, I'm going to put this down here because people should know when a country starts having to grab money from different sources. So in other words, if the federal government's failing and now the state themselves, like a state in the United States, it could be California, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, whatever, they don't make enough money. Well, guess where they go? They go hunting. And they're not going to be going, oh, let's just mess over the black people or the brown people. No, no, no. We don't have enough funds for messing over just those guys. So now we're coming for you too, ordinary citizens. Everybody's on the table. Let's see what happens in Tennessee. But I put the link down below. I told people this is going to happen. You're in a third world country. You just don't know it yet because you're trying to separate, but you really can't. Oh man, why isn't that? What happened? Let me know if you guys could click on that link. Okay. Okay. Buy one share every day after it goes down between now and the 14th. That's the strategy. Okay. You're going to buy on the top at 1100. So it went down 18.77% today. So you could buy a share today. I'm just going to wait till it's 120. No, I don't think it'll be 120. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 1200. It doesn't even, like I said, it doesn't even really matter what it is. My entry point's always going to be 72 hours to 84 hours after split. Because in other words, I'm not selling. If it goes up, if you buy, what is that, 11,000? That'll be 11,000. And it goes up to 1,300. That'd be 2,000. But are you going to sell? I don't think so. In fact, the Netflix I'm going to be holding a while because I think after this next little fallout, we're going to have problems. Oh, I did put these on here. Cool. Watch your speed while going through school zones. I went over the speed limit by 2 miles and got a ticket for 225. Damn. Exactly. You could take it to the bank. I can promise you I won't do it again. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Before, 2 miles over was no biggie. Now, every state, everywhere, they're getting marching orders to strict. They're going to be strict. So you're going to have to be very careful out here. It's not just the DUIs, it's everything. That's what I'm saying. The police force, the old slave catcher force, those are the same guys that do not mind taking orders regardless. But finally, somebody spoke out when the trooper in Tennessee spoke out because they were like, they're trying to ruin people's lives. They are ruining people's lives is the problem. Locking them up, then saying you got to be on a DUI program, breathalyzer in the car, charging people thousands of dollars that they don't have because you're living paycheck to paycheck, saying we're going to lock you up, meaning you're going to lose your job. All of that ruining lives, ladies and gentlemen, over DUIs are serious, but are they real? That's the point. A lot of people don't understand. Court system is not real. Oftentimes, it's fake. The DA, prosecutors will still try to prosecute people knowing that they're innocent. That's what system we live in. This isn't some noble system where scales are equal and all that BS. All right. So that's the first one. That's the first one. I don't know why that came up like this. That's weird. Okay, I got to put this on my screen. I hope it doesn't play. But I'm going to go a second. Let's see. Earn on. Okay, not that. Not that. Zombie debt collectors removing old loans from homeowners. What is that? That's interesting. I never heard of this. Never heard of this. What's a zombie debt collector? Zombie debt collectors are extracting huge amounts of money from bygone loans from homeowners nationwide. The outlet identified more than 24 firms that took over second loans, second mortgages belonging to at least 12,000 homeowners, several of whom were bereaved of the means or wherewithal to obtain legal help. The zombie debt collectors were among the most active in pursuing old second mortgages and lawsuits from borrowers in efforts to collect. Hundreds of thousands more borrowers remained exposed to more than 32 billion of the what? Oh my goodness. A few of the examples the outlet uncovered include a debt collector demanding a Chicago man pay nearly $30,000 to settle a $10,000 second. What? What do you mean? Second mortgage that he hadn't heard about in 15 years. Exactly, because if he had a second mortgage, they couldn't have sold the property because there would have been a lien if he defaulted. This is weird. A San Francisco homeowner faced foreclosure over $120,000 second mortgage despite receiving a document from his lender 16 years ago showing the debt was canceled. Oh no. They're trying to legally attach notes to people's homes. So apparently these people still live in the same house because otherwise this cannot even be a threat. It's like, so how are these zombie debt collectors coming out of nowhere to cause havoc? A lot can be pointed to how President Trump's administration agency tasked with enforcing consumer protection laws. Oh, as of October 2025, hundreds of thousands or more borrowers remain exposed to more than 32 billion of the old loans. Oh my God. Are you kidding me right now? Good luck, Americans. I just going to keep saying it. This is just bad. Wow. 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 There's the link right there. I tried. Look, this is unbelievable. Grabbing money from American citizens, but they will not grab money for the rich and powerful. Unbelievable. Zombie debts are characterized as old, forgotten, or time-barred debts that reappear after a long period of inactivity. The debts can include unpaid credit card bills, personal loans, medical debt, utility bills. So how do they arise? When collectors or collection agencies attempt to persuade people they still owe the debt. Okay, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, let's just start with this. If you don't pay a debt, doesn't matter what it is, somebody's going to buy that debt, the debt collector. That means the company or corporation, they wiped it clean, saying it's a loss. All right? The debt collector paid the person that gave you the loan. They gave them pennies on the dollar to have that note. The company wrote it off against their taxes. So they got their taxes lower, okay, for the debt. Then the debt collector has a few years to mess with you. Then it sits on books. Now these debt collectors are coming out of nowhere trying to get their money. That's one way they can do it. Except there's a statute of limitations usually. But in this case, there is no consumer protection. So now they're just going with it. And this is bad. When collectors or collection agencies persuade people they still owe, debt collectors use aggressive, misleading tactics to collect on zombie debts. What's worse, if a consumer acknowledges or makes a payment, it can restart the statutes of limitations, giving creditors a legal foothold to sue for the debts at bank rates. Catherine Peach, there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I have to do a video about this because that is the key right there. Do not make a payment. Statutes of limitations has already expired. That is the number one thing that people forget. It's gone. So if you say, oh, let me make a payment, no. Do not do it. Let that stay in your past. Whatever happened back then, it got dealt with. You dealing with it now means you're about to give somebody money based on a debt that has no bearing on anything you're doing, but they'll be able to then say you made a payment plan and now attach it to your credit report. Be careful. And like they said, in some states, you can sue people for debt, by the way. Okay? We have Rogue Nation. This is so sick. Rogue Nation. All right, I'm going to get out of here because, see, Brian P., you get me upset, man. Whenever I see some of these emails, it just makes me sick because it doesn't have to happen. Meanwhile, They're giving the rich and famous tax cut, tax break subsidies. FDA approves pill that can prevent heart attack by reducing inflammation. Okay. Here we go again. White and yellow peaches. Oh, jeez. Recall, ladies and gentlemen. I knew you're going to give me something with recall. This is just sickening. It's just so sick. Um, I just can't believe that we got people. I mean, scrounging for people, man. I mean, this is what we're dealing with right now. Good luck, people. Again, you got 1 year and 2 months left now. By December 2026, December 31st, you better have everything in order. You're going to need an account outside the United States with another bank or credit cards or whatever. And you're going to need a business or a rental or something outside of the United States, because this money grab, when you have a declining empire, the only thing they can do is grab citizens' money. And they're going to try and get your assets too. So you should be putting things into a trust. Now, I'm serious. This is insane right now. God, I know, right? This is insane. This is insane. Oh man, this is bad. You got and you know what's even worse? These zombie corporations, they're going to be somebody that's in the government. That's what's even worse. Because let's just put things in perspective. Let me give you guys some perspective. How does a zombie company know what happened 15 years ago? The company wrote it off. The debt collector company, it's not on your credit report. Anybody? Anybody? You ever heard of Doge? Anybody? Remember when them dudes were sitting there with the programmers going in and checking on something that nobody knew about and showed up at government offices? Ring a bell? Still think good guys? You still think some people are good guys? You don't really think these guys were sitting there doing what? What did you think they were doing? Oh, yeah, we're trying to save you money. They weren't trying to save your ass money. They were trying to figure out how they're going to extract more money from American citizens. Now they have your information. And you know they're getting paid by these zombie companies because they're $32 billion on the line total. So you don't think somebody said 100,000 here, 50,000 there, 20,000 there. Derivative. It's a phone call. The cost of acquisition is small. It's a phone call. Hey, you had this loan from 2005. Okay, so what about it? Well, we bought the debt. We need to collect. We're going to make your life miserable. We're going to try and add it to your credit report and all this, that, and the other. We'll put a lien on your house. We want to enter into a payment plan. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's what they're going to do. And some people are going to be gullible and be like, oh, okay, well, it was 100,000, but we'll take 10 and we'll get it all cleared for you. Knowing full well they paid like $100 for it, right? And then somebody's going to go, well, I ain't got the 10, but we'll give you a payment plan. Just send us $500 a month. You do that a few hundred times and you get money out of thin air, right? Okay. Hopefully you guys understand how this works. What you think it is. And now it really is, but it's not what you think it is. So anyhow, that's my rant for the evening. I got to go. And I'll see you guys later. I need to get me some hot tea and honey. And then we'll talk about some more things on Wednesday night. And I can't believe nobody saw the video that I dropped today from Lara with Jamie Gruber 2023 versus 2025. Come on, man. I guess I'm gonna have to go look at the comment sections and find out what they're gonna say about this. Oh man, here we go again. I don't know if there's sound on this or not. You guys hear any sound in the background? It's the quarter system. Videos playing. Hopefully it wasn't playing. It was though, I think. Oh well. All right. Well, we'll talk on Wednesday. We'll see how everything shakes out. Hopefully, well, I just have to be on the side of the people. The side of the people means I cannot have the Democratic Party go in and sign any bill. Because if you do that, then that means up to 42 million people lose SNAP benefits. Up 15 million to 20 million people lose their health care via Medicaid. The fallout from that means hospitals, medical facilities, nursing homes, anybody that accepts Medicaid as payment also will be booted out of their facilities, and the workers as well. I can't rock with that. This is SSN Nation. This is Stop Struggling Now. I don't rock with people that vote for that type of stuff or want bad stuff to happen to people and they don't have to do it. I'm not rocking with that. So I'm just letting you guys know. You guys can do whatever you want to do, but for me personally, I'm against all hurting other people on purpose. This is and sending $40 billion to another country like Argentina. Our beef farmers are struggling because prices are off the charts. People aren't buying it. And now our government says they want to buy beef from Argentina to be against our United States farmers as competition after we sent them money. And Argentina also sells their soybeans to China, circumventing our US soybean farmers. So our soybean farmers are going out of business because China is not buying from USA farms. Do you understand what's happening here? Food prices are going to rise. Farmers are now going out of business. Do you understand this circle jerk? And it means every citizen is getting screwed, except, of course, if you're rich and famous, or you're rich, or you're wealthy, or you're in the top 20%. You're good. But the bottom 80, there's a heavy weight they're dragging around on their feet. I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, Brian P., we talked about these trusts before. Now more than ever, after seeing this zombie stuff, you guys, you got to get a trust now. And I'm not talking about a livable trust either. The only trust that you can get that shields you 99% of the time is going to be an irrevocable. If you have a living trust and it's during your lifetime, that means your creditors or anybody can still do this type zombie stuff. So now more than ever, you have to seriously consider putting your assets inside of a trust. I know it limits you somewhat because you can't be trustee, so somebody else has to be the grantor of the trust. But all you have to do is see a planner, or ChatGPT gets you a somewhat of a starter kit. Just ask the questions. Your state, is it federally lawful? And they'll give you all of it. But the point is, you're going to have to protect assets now. This is where we're going. When you have 80% of your population living paycheck to paycheck, getting laid off, 1.6 million people a month getting laid off in America in 2025, people start grabbing at whatever's available to them. Some are going to be unscrupulous. Some are going to try to be legitimate. But the fact of the matter is, if there's anything that they can grab, and what can they grab? People that have something. Your assets, slip and falls, run into you, go around you, stop in front of you so you run into the back of them, then you get out the car doing this. Oh, my back. Oh. knowing full well they went around you, stopped, backed up. So you got to have cameras in your car now. This is what we're dealing with right now. Okay? Just so you guys understand, if you don't get the third world situation that's coming slowly, you better start, because right now we got people in power that wants to make sure they got their foot on your neck. And some people are still thinking that they're going to be immune. Sure, you're going to be immune if you have assets. You're going to be immune if you have business. You're going to be immune. But sooner or later, you're not. Because when you go down to a facility and your health facility says, I'm sorry, we have to close our doors today, and the next hospital's 45 minutes away, you're going to find out, yeah, that's the fallout from agreeing with the certain way people govern. And you're going to find out very quickly in an emergency that you have loved ones that's potentially going to die, and somebody tells you we close down, and you got to go 45 minutes to an hour away, and they may not even have 15 to 25 or 30 minutes of life left. It's going to happen. It's happening already. So again, stock market is a mirage. You need to get your stuff in order, ladies and gentlemen. I gave you some tools. We talked about debt consolidation. Tracy.sharpe with an E at the end. There'll be links down below in the description box. Tracy with a Y, TRACY dot Sharpe, SHARPE at moneyladder.com to get your debt resolution without filing bankruptcy, without getting debt collections and ruining your credit in the process. Forget all that. You're going to ruin your credit by default only because you're not going to be in the credit game. You're going to get your debt resolved. Then they're going to report you as being paid in full in good standing. So for the year and a half, 2 years, you're not supposed to be getting new credit. You're supposed to be wiping your debt clear. So then you go down to damn near zero. So that way your credit score goes up. Now you can start worrying about credit again. All right? Simple. If you need help out here, go to findhelp.org right now. Findhelp.org. Put in your zip code if you're in America. All right? It's very simple. We have other things. You want to improve your credit, we can do that too. Links will be down below in the description box after this live stream is over. And with all that said, I love you guys very much. I appreciate your support over all these years. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen, but only those that have made investments long ago and even now are the ones that's going to be able to survive. So that is the game plan. That is the only plan you can do. There is not anything else you can do because you don't know what the economic environment's going to be next year or 3 years from now or next month from now. So with all that said, just make sure you stay safe, stay calm, and try not to get involved with people out here because a lot of people are going through a lot and they're going to act irrational. And with all that said, keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.